Hey guys, this is Terry here at True Motion. Today we want to talk a little bit about thoracic mobility, why it's important, some things that can go wrong if you have an immobile thoracic spine. For one, which is basically the main one that I want to knock home here, is you're going to have a lack of signaling from the body to the brain and from the brain to the body. The thoracic area, if it is very sticky and the neuronal activity that's going on in there is not firing like it should because of the lack of movement, then those signals can become weaker and the communication between both the brain and the body will be much weaker. So if you're trying to get better at anything, whether it be a lunge or a squat, a hand movement, throwing, running, it doesn't matter what it is, if you have poor thoracic mobility, it will take a very long time for you to reach the goal that you're trying to get to because of the poor signaling between those two systems. So, that being said, some other things that can happen that you might see or you might be feeling right now is low back pain. When you have a very tight thoracic spine and you're walking or running and you're lacking this little bit of thoracic mobility, the mobility has to come from somewhere else in order to get the job done, which would be the lower back. So you might see this with people that are walking, or maybe you've noticed some people running on the treadmill that they have an excessive lumbar rotation that's going on and not enough up here. If you're somebody that has poor posture, most likely you have an immobile thoracic spine, which can then be the cause of your lower back pain. In some cases, it could be different things as well. Another thing that can be a big issue, if you're trying to lose weight and you have an immobile thoracic spine, you won't breathe very well. You might have poor posture and a sticky thoracic spine, which means you can't expand your rib cage, you can't expand your diaphragm like you need to process oxygen through the nose, up through the chest like it's supposed to happen. If that is the case, losing weight is going to be harder for you if you're trying to burn body fat because, once again, you just will not process enough oxygen for you to last, burn calories, flush lactate out, all kinds of things. So here's a quick fix, especially if you're sitting all day. I've actually been sitting all day and I haven't done any mobility yet. So you might actually see what I'm about to describe, which is arches and angles. If you look at my spine as I turn, you might notice that parts of my spine are kind of flat and some have a bit of an arch to them. It may or may not be easy to see on the camera, but if you can notice it, that is what we do here. When we assess somebody that has a thoracic issue, I'm looking for those little spots of spinal segments that are not moving like they should. And when they don't move like they should, then we get into the issues that we talked about earlier. So, a quick drill you can do. We don't want the shoulders to be involved here. The T-spine itself, the thoracic spine, is the driver of the movement, okay? So you can hold on to your knee. This will help isolate the shoulders. This is the very beginning phase of learning how to do this movement. After this, I'll show you how to do it on your feet and then actually load it with a band. So you're going to be here. All you're going to do is exhale. In this position, you'll probably notice that I might actually have a few angles, which isn't good. We want nice arches all the way up through the spine for that natural curvature. And then after you finish the rounding, you're going to inhale, fill up the lungs, lengthen up through the spine, all the way up through the cervical spine, almost like somebody's pulling on the top of your head. You're going to continue this. Exhale, inhale through the nose for about 3 to 5 reps. Now, if you have a coach or a friend that has a little bit of experience with this, they'll be able to actually tap on the vertebrae that aren't moving very well. So what we do here is we actually cue you once we find a spot that doesn't appear to be moving well with the rest of the spine. We'll signal that area with a little bit of tapping, and that'll cue you to actually engage that area and open those spinal segments up. So that's level 1. You can do 3 to 5 reps on this leg, 3 to 5 reps on this leg. and then continue on to level 2, which we'll do next. So before we get on to level 2, make sure you go back to level 1 and make sure you master it. Get a good feel for how to collapse and expand just using the thoracic spine. Now we're going to integrate more into your much larger movement, which would be standing. So from a standing position, remember, you want to keep the shoulders quiet. You don't want them to be the driver of the movement. The thoracic spine is the driver of the movement with flexion and extension. So you're going to exhale. You should see a good rounding of the spine. Once again, looking for any angles. I may or may not have some right now. Then you're going to inhale through the nose and get that good thoracic extension. And then exhale again. Now, if you feel the movement starting to break down, that means you've hit your peak. You've hit your neural capability to do that movement correctly. You should stop. You should then repeat that 2 to 3 repetitions about 5 to 6 times a day. Eventually, you'll be able to do more, and it'll become more solidified, which means that the spine, the T-spine, will actually stay mobile for a longer period of time unless you start sitting again and doing things that aren't causing your spine to move in all planes of motion, flexion, extension, rotation. The next step would be level 3, to load it up with a band. Okay, so next would be level 3, where we actually load the spine. You've mastered the movement now. You've started from the ground, worked your way up to the feet. You got it down, you can do it. The shoulders aren't involved at all. Make sure you'd want to practice this a good month before you start loading it, or your movement will break down right away. So, standard, just right here. The extension is what's going to be really loaded here. So you're going to collapse, and then you're going to extend back into it. And you're going to feel that extra tension right on the T-spine. Doesn't have to be a very large movement, especially when it's loaded, to get the effect, but you do want to try to move in those maximum ranges of motion, which is what mobility is. Do you have control at every range of motion available to your joints? The other way to load it would just be flip around, hit it at a different angle. Just flipping around is just a different type of load on the body. Your legs and core are being loaded in a different way. You can do it from the side just to add different types of force on the T-spine. The more variety you give it, the more of a movement library you will have, the happier your T-spine will be, the happier the rest of your body will be. Remember, it's key to have this area to keep this area mobile because of all the other joints in your body. You need to have a good, strong signal up into the brain. All right, guys, so today we talked about thoracic mobility, why it's important, some issues that can come from it if you have a poor T-spine, some drills that you can do with it, loaded mobility. Make sure you start from the ground, work your way to the feet, integrate, and the sky's the limit with this. You can do it in different lunge positions. You can load it with different types of bands, different strengths of bands, and yeah, that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, let us know. I know everyone knows somebody that has poor posture. Please share this video and give it to them. It'll help them out dramatically. Give us a like. Let us know if you have any questions.